नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वड़क्कम, आदाब। बचपन के पिटारे से कि आज की इस नई कड़ी में आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है। जैसा कि आप जानते ही हैं, इस सीरीज में हम भारतीय भाषाओं का उत्सव मना रहे हैं। वी आर सेलिब्रेटिंग इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस। तो आज भी मैं एक नए मेहमान, नई कहानी और नई भाषा के साथ आई हूँ। और उत्सवों की बात की जाए तो पिछले 10 दिनों से हम गणेश उत्सव मना रहे हैं, है ना। पिछले 10 दिनों से प्रथम पूज्य गणपति जी हमारे साथ थे और अब उनके विसर्जन का दिन भी आ ही गया है। तो इसी मौके पर आज हम उनसे जुड़ी हुई एक कहानी सुनेंगे डॉक्टर श्रद्धा निगवेकर से, जो हमारे साथ जुड़ रही हैं पुणे से। डॉक्टर श्रद्धा से मेरी मुलाकात अभी हाल ही में हुई है एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में, जहाँ पे भारत के अलग अलग हिस्सों से स्टोरी टेलर्स एक दूसरे के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। और हाल ही में उनके मैंने कुछ रील्स देखे और कुछ उनकी झलकियाँ देखी थी उनके स्टोरी टेलिंग परफॉर्मेंसेस की, जहाँ पे देख के मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। फिर उनके बारे में जब मैंने देखना शुरू किया, उनके इंस्टाग्राम हैंडल को और दूसरे चैनल्स को, तो मुझे पता पड़ा कि डॉक्टर श्रद्धा इज़ बेसिकली अ साइंटिस्ट। डॉक्टर श्रद्धा को वेलकम करने से पहले लेट मी टेल यू, Dr. Shraddha is a scientist by training and a spoken word artist by choice. And she likes to call herself as a lifelong learner with a passion for experimentation. The list of her accomplishments is so long. And to name a few, she has a PhD degree in molecular biology from USA, and she has lived and worked on 3 continents. She has also been awarded the Storymaker in Education 2022 by the Consortium of EduSarthi. She is a certified storyteller and performs on various platforms internationally too. Shraddha is a regular contributor to the #1 radio program in the UK, that is the Talking Stories on East London Radio. MOM, Musings of Mom, and Sukathankar are her 2 podcasts, and her YouTube channel is also there in the name of Katha by Shraddha, KBS. And I must say, I loved listening to her voice on her podcast, and I just loved the way she narrates stories on her YouTube platform. She has also performed at various lit fests, and she's always looking for novel ways to tell stories. And this is where I find her, and the list goes on. Now, without further ado, let me welcome Dr. Shraddha. Hello, Shraddha ji. Welcome to Bachpan Ke Pitare Se, and thank you so much for accepting to be a part of this show on such a short notice. Hearty welcome.
Thank you, Deepa. That was such a lovely welcome and a wonderful, generous introduction. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and I'm really excited to be part of your series of stories that celebrate all of India and all its languages. Thank you once again for inviting me. It's my privilege.
Shraddha ji, I heard your podcast also, and I heard the stories that you narrated on your YouTube channel also, and I must say that I have to congratulate you for 2 things. First of all, you are speaking your mother tongue, you are spreading your language. It's awesome, it's need of the hour. And secondly, I am in love with your voice. I simply loved the softness, that वो खनक जो आपकी आवाज़ में है. I just loved your voice.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Deepa. That is so kind of you to say.
There's this episode where you are narrating the backstory of the Aarti, Ghalin Lotangan Vandita Charna. So we sing that Aarti at our home, but I never knew the backstory. And thank you so much. This is really so enriching for everyone.
It is so awesome for me to hear you say that, Deepa. That gives meaning to making that episode for me. It's especially for folks who sing that Aarti but don't know the meaning behind it. And mind you, I was one of them until I started research for that particular episode. So, same boat as you.
Cool. So, moving ahead in the episode, as I just said, you have been a scientist, you have done your PhD, now you're a voice artist, you have podcast, you have a YouTube channel, you are also the founder member of Kathashtakam Global. So there are so many roles that you are playing. How do you manage it? Like from being a scientist to being a storyteller. Why and how? Please share your journey with us.
Right. So I believe I have lived many lives in one already, Deepa. And it's not necessarily by intention. It's just by honestly living in the moment all the time. I think that is my mantra. Whatever comes at me, I think I've just lived through it happily and accepted things and adapted to whatever situations that have come by. And I can't think of any other, better way to put it, frankly. It was not the plan. As a child, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. That was the plan. That was the plan all along. And then along came, science education, and somehow I got really interested in molecular biology. So I went ahead and pursued and completed, post-graduation up till my doctorate in molecular biology. And I worked as a wet lab scientist for about 10 years. And then I moved from the US back to India with a 3-month-old child. And that kind of, made me reevaluate my position and what I really wanted to do in life from then onwards. And motherhood changes all of us. I think motherhood kept the experimenter in me alive. And I started experimenting with things that were other than science, but with a scientific attitude and with a scientific mindset, I would say. And that has really, I think, given a different flavor maybe to the things that I do.
Agree. To have a scientific attitude towards everything and that mindset, that really helps, because even I'm a science student, but I did not pursue my post graduation in science. I pursued it in language because that is what I wanted to study. But yes, I totally agree with what you say.
So like I said, there was really no grand plan per se for these changes to come about. But right now, where I am at right now, I am a freelance full-time storyteller, whether it is in person, online, recorded events, podcasts, and trying to just be creative and, hopefully changing lives in a positive way and inspiring mostly children. I really love to have children in my audiences because they themselves are so inspiring, that it's just fun and it's a blast when the audience is full of children. I have so much fun with those sessions.
I agree. And that is what I saw in your video, that short clip that you had shared and where I found you. And maybe Bappa wanted both of us to connect. So I take it that way. So, Shraddha ji, which language are we going to celebrate today?
My Matrabhasha, which is Konkani. And that language is the language of Goa, as well as many of the Konkan regions that actually spread all the way till North Karnataka, in fact.
Okay, so Marathi and Konkani are different? And what you speak in your podcast, is it Marathi or is it Konkani?
It's Marathi. It's Marathi. So I speak Marathi because I was born and raised pretty much in Bombay, in Mumbai. So, it was the local language for me. But my Matrabhasha, my mother tongue was Konkani. So I know Konkani, Marathi, of course Hindi, and English, which you cannot escape.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. So, what's the difference between the two languages? Is there any difference?
There is definitely some difference, but however, they are quite similar. So, for someone who speaks Marathi, if they keep listening to Konkani, they probably will be able to understand some of the words. For a Konkani speaking person, I think frankly it's easier to understand Marathi. But I believe if I know the development, they developed simultaneously. It wasn't one from the other or vice versa. So they were simultaneous development of these languages in our Bharatvarsha. Yeah, so even Marathi as well as Konkani, if you in Maharashtra, for example, if you go from one city to the other, the dialect will change a little bit. Like people who are very well versed with the different dialects can tell where a person is from based on what type of language is being used or what type of exclamations are being used in what they are saying. Similarly, for Konkani, there is Konkani from Goa, which has a lot of Portuguese influence. There is Konkani from Mangalore also, and also Konkani from North Karnataka, which is Karwar, Ankola, Haldipur, these areas. And actually, my parents and forefathers were originally in Goa and then North Karnataka. So our Konkani is called the GSB Konkani, and that's from the northern Karnataka bordering Maharashtra area. So the Goans can understand what I'm saying, and I can understand what they're saying. However, we cannot speak exactly like each other.
Exactly. We will speak whatever we have learnt in our homes. So that's the difference in the dialect, I think. Yeah. So, which story are you going to tell us today?
Ah, as you know that it's Ganesh festival going on for the last, few days. And in fact, 10th days, Visarjan is coming up. And I thought it would be wonderful to tell a Ganpati story. And there's also a special reason. I live in Pune, like you've said, and Maharashtra has a very strong connection with the Ganesh festival in the past. So I'm not sure if the listeners are aware, but Ganesh festival was celebrated on an individual basis for a longest time, ever since Shivaji Maharaj's rule actually. But during the Indian national movement, during our freedom struggle, it gained very, very, very great importance. Because after 1857, the British had banned public meetings per se. Gatherings, right. And there was no way for the Krantikaris to kind of meet and discuss and plan and, execute things. However, religious gatherings were not banned. So, Lokmanya Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Lokmanya Tilak actually got this idea from another person within Pune, and he started, I believe, in 1894, if I'm not mistaken, the first Sarvajanik Ganpati. Sarvajanik is Sarva and Janik, which means Janik means of and by the people, and Sarva is all, right, in Sanskrit. So, Ganpati is celebrated by all the people, essentially. And that was a community gathering, and it was an undercover operation, really, for all the freedom fighters and Krantikaris to plan and, execute what they needed to do. So, that's the backstory of how it started, and it started in Maharashtra. And now, of course, it's a grand, and not just pan-India and global too, for that matter, right? Yes. All the Indian diaspora across the world celebrate Ganesh festival. So correct. That's so my story. My story is related to Ganpati, and a little hint here. It's to do with one of his many names.
Okay, so the stage is all yours.
आज हांव तुमकां एक काणी सांगची आसा. ती म्हळ्यार आमगेल्या गणपती बाप्पाल काणी. And this story about Bappa is about his name. Now, tell me, how many names do we usually have? एक, दोन, कितली नावां आसात तुमगेली? पण बाप्पाली 1008 नावां आसात. हय. Yes, 1008 names for Ganpati. And each of his names has a meaning and a small story attached to it. तर आज आम्ही ऐकूया गणपतीक एकदंत नाव कशें पडलें. The backstory of his name Ekdanta is our story today. तर खूप वर्सां पयले, म्हळ्यार 5000 वर्सां पयले, वेद व्यास नावाचो महर्षी रावताले. तांकां ब्रह्मदेवान एक जबाबदारी दिली. ती म्हळ्यार पूर्ण महाभारत बरोवन काडची. महर्षी व्यास काळजीत पडले. हे सोप्पे कार्य नाशिल्लें. Maharshi Ved Vyas, who lived about 5,000 years ago, was given the unique and huge task and responsibility by Lord Brahma of writing down the Mahabharata. He was in a quandary. हे सोप्पे नाशिल्लें. ते विचार करच्याक लागले की म्हाका असो मदत करपाक कोण मेळटलो जो हांव जे सांगता ते योग्यपणे आयकून आनी पूर्णपणे समजून बरोवन काडतलो. The quandary he was in was that where would he find such a capable assistant who could completely and truly understand his dictation as well as write it down fast and accurately. तेन्ना तांकां श्री गणेशालो उडघास जालो आनी ते शंकरदेवाकडेन गेले विचारच्याक तांचे कडच्यान परवानगी घेवच्याक. That's when Ved Vyas thought of Sri Ganesha, the only one who would be up to this mammoth task. And Maharshi Vyas went to ask Lord Shiva's permission to ask Ganpati to help him out. गणपती बाप्पा तयार जाले, पण तांगेली एक अट आशिल्ली. ती म्हळ्यार महर्षी व्यास श्लोक सांगता सांगता जर एक पटी भी रावले तर थंयची थंय गणपती बरोवची बंद करून थंयच्यान भायर सरतले अशी अट घालताले. Ganpati agreed, but he had a condition. Maharshi Vyas accepted Ganpati's condition, and that condition was that Maharshi Vyas would not stop dictating shlok after shlok after shlok. And he agreed to that condition, but he was very intelligent and he knew that Sri Ganesha was an excellent and expert scribe. So it would be really difficult for him, for Ved Vyas, to keep up his speaking speed of shlokas to Ganesh Ji's writing speed of shlokas. So, very intelligently, he countered with his own condition. Maharshi Vyas खूप हुशार आशिले. तांकां कळ्ळें की गणपती तांणी सांगील एकदम बेगी बेगी बरोवन काडटले. तर आतां कितें करचें म्हण तांणी गणपतीली अट स्विकार केली, पण स्वताली एक अट दवरली. ती म्हळ्यार गणपतीन तांणी सांगिल्ले दर एक श्लोक पूर्णपणे समजूंच्या जाय आनी मागीरच बरोवपा जाय. आनी श्री गणेशान हें मान्य केलें. आनी अशे दोगी जाण बसोवन महाभारता कामा लागले. महर्षी वेद व्यास सांगतेर गेले आनी गणपती बरयतेर गेलो. So Ved Vyas insisted that Ganpati must understand the true and complete meaning of every single shlok before writing it down. And thus started the humongous and grand task of writing the Mahabharata down. But something else happened. बरयता गणपतील्या हातातली लेखणी जी आशिल्ली ती अक्षरशः झिजत गेली. इतली बरोवपा लागताले. पण बरोवच्याक काय रावच्याक जायना म्हण तांणी स्वतालो एक दांतच तोडलो आनी ताजो वापर केलो लेखणी म्हण. आनी बरोवचे कांय रावेल ना. महर्षी व्यासालो एक शब्द बी गणपतीन सकल पडच्याक दिलो ना. While continuously writing this grand epic, the writing instrument that Ganesha was using could not stand up to the enormity of the task, and after a while it actually broke down. But Ganesha had to keep writing. That was what he had promised, understanding and writing. So in pursuit of that knowledge that was pouring out of Maharshi Vyas, Ganesha did not stop. As soon as his writing implement broke, what did he do? He broke one of his own tusks and used that as his writing implement. And ever since then, he has been known as Ekdanta. Ek meaning one and Danta meaning tooth. The one with one tooth. आणि तेन्नाच्यान तांकां एकदंत हें नांव पडलें. तर ती आशिल्ली आमगेली आयची काणी. एकदंता फाटली काणी. आवडली वे तुमकां? आय होप यू एन्जॉयड लिसनिंग टू दिस स्टोरी.
खूब छान. ऐसे ही कहते हैं ना मराठी में या कोंकणी में, आई डोंट नो. बहुत खूबसूरत. गणपति बप्पा मोरया. थैंक यू सो मच इतनी खूबसूरती से इस कहानी को प्रेजेंट करने के लिए. और हाँ, और ये बहुत सुंदर कहानी है. मतलब वन ऑफ माय फेवरेट स्टोरीज़, जो कहते हैं ना गुरु शिष्य परंपरा से भी रिलेटेड है. और काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं, अगर हम सोचें तो इसमें काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो हम अपने अंदर ला सकते हैं. तो आगे बढ़ते हुए, बिफोर यू लीव, इट वुड बी ग्रेट इफ़ यू कुड शेयर योर सोशल मीडिया हैंडल्स और आपके यूट्यूब चैनल के बारे में अगर हमें बताएं तो लोग आपके काम को फॉलो कर सकें.
That would be wonderful, Deepa. Thank you so much. So my Insta handle is Insta Shraddha18. So that is INSTA SHRADDHA18. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Ekdanta. KBSSS. It's as simple as that. It just stands for Katha by Shraddha.
Thank you so much, Shraddha ji, especially for accepting the last minute invite. And it was pleasure having you on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Deepa, it was, it pushed me to my limit, and as I'm sure it's pushing you to your limits also. And it's always, I think, I am grateful to you because, it gave me a challenge because of the time constraint, and one knows what one is capable of only when challenged this way. Is that not true? So,
yes, I agree.
Yeah, so thank you very much for inviting me to be on your podcast. It is honestly a privilege and an honor to be here presenting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think it was Bappa's wish to connect both of us.
I believe so.
Feel that.
I sincerely feel that too. I do agree. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shraddha ji, for your kind words and time. May Bappa bless all of us to stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And Ganpati Bappa Moria, Purcha Varshi Lokarya. So that's all for this episode. I'll be back with another new story, new presenter, new language. Till then, keep listening to Bachpan Ke Pitare Se. Thank you. Have a good day.